Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have for you guys today is going to be my week 1 championship score predictions, and in my opinion football just has been gone for far too long now, but this weekend, kicking off on Friday, we have finally got championship football back and I'm absolutely buzzing for it, guys. So you guys have requested it, and for the upcoming season I will once again be doing my weekly score prediction video. So you guys really did seem to enjoy them last season, and last season actually, we didn't miss 1 week for championship score predictions. So hopefully I'll be able to keep to the same consistency coming up for this season, but honestly I am absolutely buzzing for this season to start. So as well as my score prediction videos coming back, I'll also be bringing back the championship roundup. Those videos will probably be uploaded on Monday, so that's just a roundup of all the action that took place over the weekend. So they'll probably be coming out on Mondays, but in terms of score predictions, I cannot wait for this season to start. So make sure you do hit a like on the video if you guys are also buzzing for this season to start. So if you've not seen this series before, let me quickly run you through how it all goes down. So every week I give you my championship score predictions for what I think the results will be with each individual game going on in the championship. FIFA 17, soon to be FIFA 18, also makes their predictions. We simulate a match on FIFA to see what they think the outcome will be, and then at the end of the season we'll be able to tally up who got more predictions right. Was it me or was it FIFA? But what I am really interested to know is what you guys have to say. So in the description down below I'll leave all the fixtures that are taking place this weekend in the championship, and then I want you guys to go ahead and make your predictions, and then if you do successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct, I will include your comment at the start of the next video. So without further ado, guys, let's just jump in to some score predictions. So the first 2 games we have to talk about are both the games taking place tomorrow on Friday night to kick off the championship, and the first of which being Nottingham Forest, who are coming up against Millwall. Now in my opinion, to predict the opening day of the championship is probably the hardest one, because in my opinion you can't really read too much into pre-season, so to gauge where a team's going to be at the start of the season is a really tricky one in my opinion. But we have Forest against Millwall. Coincidentally, I think Forest also played a promoted club last season on the first day of the season when they played Burton Albion. They managed to get a victory in that game, and things seem to be fairly positive around Forest at the moment. Going forward, I think that they'll be a bit of a handful for Millwall in this one, so I'm going to go ahead and predict a 2-1 victory for Nottingham Forest. I feel like there could be a few goals in this one, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. And then to the next game, which is also taking place tomorrow night on Friday. That is the game taking place between Sunderland and Derby County. I believe this one is also on Sky as well, so I'll be watching this one, I'm sure. And this is actually a really tough one to predict once again, because Sunderland in pre-season have looked a little bit hit and miss. Of course, they've got a new manager in there and got quite a few new players that Grayson needs to bed into his side, so it'll be interesting to see if all of those new signings will actually hit the ground running. I get the impression that this one will be quite a low scoring game, and whenever Simon Grayson was with Preston, we always seem to get a little bit of a slow start to the season, so it'll be interesting to see whether Sunderland suffer that same fate. You know, Preston's last 2 seasons with Grayson in the championship, our first month in the championship, we never really seem to get going, so maybe that's a Simon Grayson thing. They're coming up against Derby County, who, going forward, I don't think they'll be the best this season, but defensively, I think they'll be a bit of a unit. So for this one, I'm going to go with a slight victory. I'm going to go with Derby to edge it by 1-0, although I could see this one being quite a cagey tight affair. I'm going to say 1-0 Derby, FIFA saying 0-0. Then into our next fixture we do go. Then we have Bristol City, who are coming up against Barnsley. So we are now into the Saturday kickoffs, and quite an interesting matchup actually, these two sides. Last season, Barnsley probably were the better team, but we're talking about these two sides. They are both on their day capable of playing some very good football. They both showed that last season, so in terms of a spectacle of what this game could be, it could be quite an interesting one actually. Bristol City do tend to start the season better than they do finish it. So for that reason, I'm fancying Bristol City could get the victory in this one. I think if their new striker, Hugh, manages to hit the ground running, he could cause some problems for Barnsley's defence, who they have lost quite a few players in that area. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 home victory for Bristol City in this one, and FIFA has actually agreed with me for that one. Both myself and FIFA are backing a 2-0 Bristol City win. Our next fixture features Burton Albion, who are coming up against Cardiff City, and Burton Albion, of course, their aim this season, I'm sure, will be to do the same as last season and avoid relegation. And a massive part of that last season that they did actually manage to avoid relegation was down to their fantastic home record. So they'll be hoping to emulate the same thing this season. Will they be able to do it? It's yet to be seen. Talking about Cardiff though, I really do think that Cardiff could be a potential dark horse this season. I think the players that Neil Warnock has been able to add to this side have just improved them from last season. So for this one, I get the impression this could be a bit of a tight one as well. It's hard to predict on the first day, but I am going to back a 2-1 away victory for Cardiff in this one. I just feel like they may have that bit more edge than Burton do, but I'll say 2-1 Cardiff. FIFA's saying it'll be 0-0. Then for our next matchup we do go, and we have possibly one again, a game which definitely could be the game of the weekend. Most certainly one to keep your eye on is going to be Fulham coming up against Norwich. Now these are two sides who I'm anticipating both of them to be up at the top of the table this season. So for both of them to be clashing on the first day is going to be quite an interesting spectacle. And after the way Fulham finished last season, of course, with losing the playoffs, they'll be more motivated than ever, I'm sure, in this season. Norwich have had a very good pre-season under Daniel Farke, so they'll be looking to implement his ideas straight away. And I get the impression that there could be quite a few goals scored in this one, actually. You know, Fulham going forward were like absolute dynamite last season, and some of the options Norwich have got going forward are also very good as well. For this one though, I get the impression that Fulham may just edge it with that tiny bit more quality that they do have. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 home victory for Fulham, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be 3-1 Fulham. And then for our next matchup, we do have Ipswich Town, who are coming up against Birmingham. Now, this is actually quite an interesting encounter, really, and I think Joe Garner for this game is a bit of a doubt. I'm not sure if he is going to be back for this game, because I believe he picked up a knock in Ipswich's last friendly, so whether he's fit or not, it's yet to be seen. So that could actually be quite pivotal to this game. So for this one, I do get the impression that these two sides may cancel each other out on the first day. I know that Birmingham are still in the hunt for a striker. They're still chasing down a couple of names. So for that reason, I'm going to go with a 0-0 draw for this game. I feel like they couldn't cancel each other out. And then into the next game we do go. That is, of course, my club Preston North End, who are coming up against Sheffield Wednesday. And with Preston, of course, it's a new start for us this season under new management in Alex Neil. So who knows what could happen under him this season. Coming up against Sheffield Wednesday, it's definitely not going to be an easy game for us. And speaking of Sheffield Wednesday, actually, they recently released both their kits, their home and away kits. What do you guys think of them? Let me know down below. I'm a fan of the home kit, but the away kit I'm really not too keen on. But in terms of how I think this game will go, I think there could be quite a few goals in this one, really. Both Preston and Wednesday seem to be confident going forward into this season, but at the back, I think both could leak a few goals. Defensively, I think we're both a little bit suspect, and with Preston usually getting off to a bit of a slow start to the season, I am going to say it will end 3-2 to Sheffield Wednesday. As much as I do want a Preston victory in this one, I feel like Wednesday may just edge it. So I'll say 3-2 to Wednesday. FIFA saying 2-0 Wednesday. For our next matchup we do go into, we have Queen's Park Rangers, who are coming up against Reading. And two teams which may have contrasting seasons this year. It's yet to be seen, but I'm looking forward to seeing how this one actually pans out. And QPR, I'm just not sure about QPR this year. The business they've done in this transfer window, I've not been overly convinced by. Ian Holloway as well, I'm not so sure how he'll do with this QPR side. Reading, of course, will look to be building on what they did last season in making the playoff final, and I get the impression that I just think in terms of quality, I think Reading will edge this game. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 away victory for Reading. I could be wrong. I think that Ian Holloway is a good motivator for games like this, so QPR could actually pull something out of the bag, but I'm going to go with a 2-0 away victory for Reading, and FIFA's actually going to agree with me for that one. Then into the next game we do go, we have a newly promoted side in Sheffield United who are coming up against Brentford, and once again this is a really interesting one to keep your eye on over the weekend. Sheffield United playing at home on the first day of the season, of course, being League One champions from last season. They're going to have the backing of the home crowd behind them, and they're going to want to be taking that momentum from last season into this year, I'm sure. They are facing a tough test though in Brentford, who I have said this season I think could be a dark horse. Going forward, I think Brentford will cause the Sheffield United side quite a few problems, but with United having the backing of the crowd and Brentford looking good going forward, I'm going to say that these two will cancel each other out on the first day, and it will end as a 2-2 draw. I think quite a few goals could be scored in this one. I'll say 2-2. FIFA's actually saying that it will be 3-0 to Sheffield United. Into the next game we do go, we then have Wolves who are coming up against Middlesbrough. Now, I mean, I've said it a lot, I know, already in the video, but this is one I'm looking forward to seeing this one. Wolves, I'm really excited to see how all of these new players are going to bed into the Championship and actually how well they'll actually all play together. Coming up against Middlesbrough, who, this is like the two big spenders really of the window so far. They're coming up against each other in this game here today, and I don't know which way to call it. Honestly, I feel like this one could be on a knife edge. It could really go either way with this one. If I had to back it right now, I'm going to go with a Middlesbrough victory. I just feel like going forward, they have more players who are adapted to the Championship. They bought more players who have played in the Championship before, and so they may have that experience over Wolves, but Wolves being a bit of an unknown could be an advantage to them. So like I said, it's a really tough one to call, but I'm going to go with a 2-1 away victory for Middlesbrough, and like I said, that could go either way. FIFA is actually going to agree with me as well. Me and FIFA are agreeing on quite a few things in this video here today, but we're both saying 2-1 Middlesbrough. Then into the next game we do go, we have the evening kickoff on Saturday taking place between Aston Villa and Hull. Now this is a fixture, Aston Villa, I mean, in this transfer window, once again another club which has been very busy, so I'm looking forward to seeing how they implement their new players into the squad. But I do believe that some of Villa's key men going into this game are actually injured. I think Kodja won't be available, Adoma as well I think is missing for the game, and a couple of others may be missing, so they'll be looking for maybe some of their squad players, maybe like players like Horgan to step up for this game against Hull. So I get the impression this could be a close one. If you do cast your mind back to last season, Aston Villa's home record really was something else. Away from home, they were a little bit dodgy, but at home, they really did have an exemplary home record. Bruce is going to want to be continuing that in this game here today. Of course, they're coming up against his former club. So for this one, I'm going to back a slim 1-0 home victory for Aston Villa. I feel like this one will be a bit of a cagey one yet again, but I'll say 1-0 Villa. And then for the last game taking place on the Sunday, we do have Bolton, who are coming up against Leeds United. So quite similar actually to the Sheffield United game. Bolton being a recently promoted side, they're going to have a big crowd expected there, no doubt, and they're all going to be, you know, on the Leeds players back straight away. I think it could be a good atmosphere in this one, and taking place on Sunday, kicking off the season. It's a bit of a weird one really, of course. These two will have already seen how everyone else has kicked off the season, so for this one, I'm fancying this one could actually be a draw for this one. I think Bolton will definitely be up for this one. Leeds have got a few new players that need to bed in, and of course the manager needs to learn about the league. So for this one, I'm going to fancy it to be a 1-1 draw. I think this one could be quite a closely contested affair, whereas FIFA's saying Leeds will snatch it 1-0. So there you guys have it. That will wrap it up for my Week 1 Championship score predictions. So like I said at the start of the video, guys, all the fixtures that are taking place this weekend will be listed in the description down below, so then you guys can easily go ahead and make your score predictions. So guys, if you have enjoyed this video and you are happy to see Championship football be returning this weekend, make sure you do leave a like on the video. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you do subscribe for regular Championship content. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you drop me a follow on Twitter as well, as I always tweet before I upload a video. Therefore, I'll never miss a video ever again, guys. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.